Good morning, everybody. You're all very welcome back to another B2B Connect session with Fingal Chamber. My name is Nevin Cody. I'm going to be your host this morning, and it's going to be my joy and pleasure to take you through the session today. What we're going to have is we're going to have an introduction from the president of the chamber in a moment. Then we are going to have a guest speaker, and I'll introduce you to that guest speaker when we've had our president give a brief introduction. And then we're going to break out into some networking sessions, into breakout rooms. We'll have a couple of rounds of those. And then we'll wrap it up about 10:25, where we'll all come back into the main room just to wrap up the session. So you're all very welcome and delighted to be here. And I would like to, first of all, ask the president of the chamber, Andrea Malai, to say a few words. Morning, Andrea.
Thank you, Nevin, and thank you everybody else for joining our Fingal Chamber virtual networking event this morning. As the region's largest business organisation, Fingal Chamber helps businesses of all sizes to grow and develop by providing members with the opportunity to influence policy, connect with businesses and professionals, train their workforce, promote their business and trade internationally. The Chamber is committed to promoting local economic development and enhancing the economic prosperity and quality of life across the region, whilst ensuring local businesses have a competitive advantage. The primary services the Chamber offers to members includes advocacy and lobbying support, where we liaise with government departments, engage with policymakers and the media, and directly represent on industry and community committees. The Chamber also coordinates upskilling and training programs. This is provided through Fingal Chamber SkillNet, where we operate and promote subsidised training determined by business needs, customised and delivered locally. Of course, we have our networking and events programme, where we host regular government and key stakeholder briefings, a business networking series and a variety of social events. The Fingal Chamber website also has an exclusive members information section. This allows members to network online, to profile their business, to share news updates, events, job vacancies, and any special offers with the business community. Last March, like many, our operations were forced to change, but the Chamber quickly adapted to working with COVID-19. As the Chamber staff moved seamlessly to working virtually for most of our services, we reacted to the new reality by changing our focus to helping businesses survive. Looking ahead, we've lots happening over the coming months. If you already are a Chamber member, I would encourage you to check out our upcoming activities on the Fingal Chamber website. If you're not a Fingal Chamber member, you can find out more online at fingalchamber.ie or by contacting a member of the team to find out how membership can benefit your business specifically. I really hope you find today's event useful, and on behalf of the Chamber and myself, I wish you and your businesses all the best. Thank you, and I'll hand you back to Nevin.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and that's a wonderful introduction. So enjoy the morning, and I'll talk to you later on. So everybody, it's my pleasure now to introduce our guest for today. It's a local business. He's in business since 2008, and I'm really interested to hear the story that he's going to tell us about the journey, not just since the business started, but what's happened over the last 12 months. He is the managing director and founder of S&D Office Interiors. It is my joy and pleasure to welcome Alan Spain. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Nevin, and thank you very much, Andrea. It's great to see you in the president's spot. It's my first event that you're president, and I'm looking forward to a lot more. Yeah, it's to give you a kind of a brief background. I started S&S Office Interiors in June 2008, so I'm no stranger to economic crashes and to recessions and working hard. When I think briefly back in June 2008, I left a company that was failing at the time and went out on my own. And I remember the first day going down and buying the paper, and I opened up the paper and I went, wow, there's a recession. And I'm selling business to business, and it was kind of an eye opener, and really made me go back to my roots of traditional selling and knocking on doors and wearing comfortable shoes and doing a lot of face-to-face with clients. So that's always been up until March 2020. It's always been face-to-face and meeting clients and showing them tangible products. So March 2020 was kind of an eye-opener for us in S&S. We had just moved into a brand new premises that we'd been planning and building for about a year. So we're based in Swords Enterprise Park. And we had, it was actually the 28th of February was our lease finished in our existing premises, and we moved into our new premises. So we amalgamated our showroom, our warehouse, and our offices all together. Before that, we had, at one stage, we had 3 separate offices or 3 separate locations within the park, which was colossal cost. So being able to amalgamate them all together certainly made it a lot easier with having one rent bill, one lease, one electricity bill, and then even for staff, just having everybody in the same building, that we didn't need to kind of go chasing people to try and find where they were. So we had great plans for 2020 with the new showroom being opened. We were discussing with manufacturers about what products we were going to put into the showroom, how we were going to have a grand opening. Even with Anthony in the chamber, we were discussing about having a grand opening in conjunction with the chamber, and then COVID hit. So it was kind of very much an eye-opener. So it was kind of around St. Patrick's Day, it's nearly a calendar year actually, when we all kind of started to slowly close down, and we ourselves in S&S had to start to look at the doors being closed of the office temporarily, and reassess everything that we were currently doing. So very quickly we looked at a strategic plan to see what we can actually do. And in our line of business, I didn't want to try and sell outside what we're normally used to, and I didn't want to be a, let's say, I didn't want to be a Dell boy and run out and try and sell something that we're not going to be able to be 100% behind, and we're not going to be confident in. So we started to discuss with our manufacturers products that they've already had online and they've already had in manufacturing over the years, to see what benefits it can have for COVID. We then, a few products that I'm going to elaborate on in hopefully in a while. We also started to look at what was being sold into the market. And you might remember around kind of April, places got flooded with the likes of Perspex screens, which were the new, everybody needed Perspex screens, and you couldn't buy Perspex for love nor money. And you'd walk into your local Spar, and I remember seeing one that nearly had cling film in front of them. And it was a supply and demand issue that they just couldn't get the proper stuff. But it was, we as a company, and we made an executive decision not to sell what everybody else was selling until the government and the HSE brought out their kind of their HSE and the government guidelines, which was on the 9th of May. And they brought out a guidelines to actually talk about social distancing, the 2-meter distance, and if you were back in your office, to have proper Perspex screens, and then ventilation. So there was a big guideline that we started to look at, and then we started to put together a plan where we could talk to our customers and see how we could help them. And at stages previous to that, we were looking at real estate prices in Dublin for our clients, whereas a client would look at a building and go, what's the maximum amount of people that you can put in here? Now we're in a different situation, looking at, okay, with 2 meters in play, how do we separate our staff? So staff were still going back into the offices at that time at around May. And then slowly everybody, with the government guidelines and the numbers going higher, they decided to, a lot more people started to work from home. With that, then we were still supplying some of our bigger customers. Actually, to tell you, some of our bigger customers would be hospitals. So we deal with quite a large private hospital, and through COVID, they've been expanding because of the demand. So we've been working very closely with them. And then county councils, we work with quite a lot of county councils across the country. But then on our normal corporate clients that we've dealt with for years, they now had the dilemma of sending their staff home and actually still being able to look after their staff from a home office point of view. So we looked at different scenarios and different ways of, and different kind of packages of products to see what best suited. And sadly, in some cases, it was coming down to we had some clients coming to us looking for the cheapest products they could possibly get. It was very hard to get cheap products. We don't primarily sell cheap products. We sell good quality products at a good price. Cheap products normally come from the Far East. Now you can imagine with COVID and a lot of transport issues, products coming from the Far East were taking up to 6 months to come across the water. So we were trying to shop as local as we could. Italy being a very big manufacturing country for office furniture, was basically on its knees at that stage. The UK was a few weeks behind us, let's say, in regards to their action plan. As we all know, Boris Johnson is, well, let's not say what Boris Johnson is, but he really didn't look strategically at how his country should be run, which had a knock-on effect to our supply chain on a lot of products. But going back to what our clients were basically looking for was, a lot of our clients sent their staff home with nothing and basically expected staff to sit at their kitchen table and work away. We're only finding now in the last 3 months that they're actually now looking, because we're now a year into it, they're actually now looking at setting up their staff on a more permanent basis with a home office desk, a home office chair, and basically even laptop risers and webcams and things like that. So we now have packages put together for our clients. We also reaction to set up a website. Sorry, Nevin.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask you, why is it so important that we have, that equipment at home to work from? Why is it important to employers to make sure the staff are looked after at home?
Very good question. And this is something that's going to come down the line in a few months from now. As an employer, you're still responsible for your employees from 9 to 5, wherever they work. So be it if you have a sales rep out on the road who's sitting in a car, if their car isn't up to a standard that's safe for them, you're liable for that. And very much so with your home office. So from an ergonomic point of view, there's a lot of boxes that have to be ticked. A lot of our larger corporate customers, what they've done is they've engaged with ergonomic specialists to actually do surveys of how the staff are at home. So if somebody has a bad back, for instance, are they sitting in the right chair? So what we've been doing is reacting to that. And one large pharmaceutical company that we work with, they tested about 150 staff. And then from that gave us a list of what each staff member needed. Now, what we were then able to do was we then couriered out, as an example, a full pack. So some staff needed to have a height adjustable desk. However, they couldn't have a height adjustable desk because all they had was their kitchen table to work from. So we looked at a different type of product for them. Then with ergonomic chairs, same scenario. If somebody just needed a standard chair, we'd organize a standard chair. But if somebody had certain back issues or needed headrests or whatever it may be, we then customize a product to them and then send that out to them by courier. So it's the responsibility, and it's, as I said, this is going to come down the line. And there's been a few cases have been coming up in the last few weeks actually of this, of kind of, don't get me wrong when I say staff neglect, but staff who have felt neglected with their work environment at home. So a lot of companies are starting to react to that and making sure that their staff have everything they basically need. We did up a website for that as well.
So you have a pack now that can sort those problems out for people. What about someone like me who, a small business, don't have a lot of resources at the moment. We haven't had a lot of income the last 12 months. Is there any hints and tips we could do in the short term until we manage to get the office set up the way it should be set up?
Yeah, like yeah, once again, very good question. Like the main thing is, don't, if somebody's going to sit at their kitchen table, or even worst case scenario, when all this started, a lot of people found themselves sitting on their couch with their laptop, and they might not have moved from the couch for a few hours of the day. That's a huge no-no from an ergonomic point of view. And when you're at home or working from home, the main thing to be doing is movement. And we've spoken to a lot of our clients, and I was surprised. I had one client turned around to me and said, Alan, I'd sit at the kitchen table for about 3 hours. And he said, then after that, my back starts to get sore. And I said, what are you doing? 3 hours constant sitting, and I asked him questions like, would you even get up for a toilet break? He said, no, I wouldn't really need to. That's what I'd normally sit in the office. So I'd sit there for the 3 hours. Constant movement is one of the most important things to do when you are sitting. When you get up in the morning, as a very quick example, you're at your tallest because you basically stretched out your body for the whole night. When we then start to sit, what we're then doing is we're compressing our spine. And as we compress our spine, what's happening is we're putting different weights on different parts of our bodies. So as an example that I'm going to show you now, I've been sitting for the last 20 minutes. So I'm actually going to higher up my desk so that I'm going to be on a sit-stand desk. So a scenario like this, and if people do have this opportunity to do it at home, it's great to be able to do that. But not everybody has that opportunity to be able to do that. But it is the case of getting away from your desk for a few minutes, even if it's to grab a cup of coffee, to use the toilet, even different stretching mechanisms. Whereas if you have a cup of water beside you, move it an extra few inches away from you. So you actually have to stretch. So you're not just sitting with your body confined in one area. You're kind of doing stretching. Now, I'm not going to get everybody to do scissor kicks or anything like that, or jumping jacks. Kevin, I think, well, no, Kevin is trying it, good man. But things like Andrea, president, the leader shows us the best way to do it. But, there is things like that people were forgetting, and, lying back on the couch and laptop on the belly, probably one of the worst things that you can be doing. There's a lot of things that staff were neglecting, and now it's coming to light where if you're in the office, you might be able to complain to your manager that your back is sore, or go to HR and say there's a problem with my desk. When you're at home, it's very hard to you're going to be complaining to yourself, but things like that need to be looked at, and you need to be able to the companies have to be adhering to their staff for this and looking out for their staff's best interests.
I see Kevin put a note, and don't forget spilling your cup of coffee all over the laptop.
Yes.
His note, which is a possibility as well. I suppose we're almost out of time, Alan, and it's amazing. I love that what you decided to do instead of react. When COVID kicked in, you kind of steadied the ground, steadied the ship, and waited until you had a bit more information to make good, solid decisions about where you were going to take your business. And you stayed true to your values of your business, which is really, really good. I suppose, we're going to open up again, but there's lots of talk now that there's going to be mixed opportunities of people back in offices, not in offices, and so forth. From your business perspective, where do you see the future of workspace?
The future of workspace, it's going to be a slow progression back to the office. It's not going to be opening the floodgates and everybody's going to be running back. What staff basically need is, staff are going to have the opportunity, and obviously depending on their employer, but hopefully they'll have the opportunity to be asked, do you want to come back? Now, when that is asked to a staff member, what they're going to ask is to the employer, what have you done for us? What precautions have you put in place? And one thing that we're finding a lot, yes, the social distancing is certainly one thing. However, that's not always an opportunity to have that. I was out with a client yesterday, surveying their building for a product that we sell, which is an air purifier system, and it's something that's been around for a number of years. Pre-COVID, these have been around, but haven't been as widely used in Ireland. And what it does is it basically cleans the air. So I will say there is no tests on these for COVID, because COVID is kind of a hybrid virus that keeps mutating. However, our next scare is going to be, in future years, the flu seasons. When you hear somebody coughing and spluttering beside you, everybody's going to run in a packed office. You know, a call center with 50 people and Mary at the back starts sneezing and coughing, everybody's just going to run away from Mary. Poor Mary. I hope there's no Marys on our chat today. But you know, it is going to be what staff are going to be asking is, as an employer, what are you doing for us? And giving them the confidence to get back into the office. And there is going to be a big checklist. There is a lot of resources out there that I'd highly recommend any employers to use if they haven't already. You know, the HSE, absolutely fantastic resource. The Chamber, of course, fantastic resource to use for information in regards to, you know, getting staff back to work, and also using the professionals that are in the Chamber as well as in the members. Also another one, government one, is bsmart.ie, which is basically for doing your health and safety requirements. And there is a COVID checklist on that as well. So I'd highly recommend anybody to use those free resources if they are looking at getting their staff back, and making sure that you can present this to a staff member and say, this is the checklist that we are doing. We're adhering to social distancing. We're putting this in place, you know, hand sanitizers, masks. If people are getting into vehicles, making sure that if there's double use of vehicles, that there's a spray bleach in the car that they can clean in the car. Simple things like that. Just give people confidence that you as an employer are looking after your staff.
Wonderful, Alan. That's fantastic. I see Barbara just put a note in the message that she thinks that we're most likely going to have a hybrid model, home and office, remote local hubs when we all get back together, which is something what you're describing there. Alan, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I love guests like you, where I have to fight to ask a question, because I could have just let you keep talking and you would have given us.
Oh, I could keep talking for hours.
So my life was really easy this morning, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much.
What we're going to do now, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. So folks, we're going to open up the meeting rooms now for us all to do a bit of networking. Alan will be in one of those rooms, and then we'll do another round of that. So we'll shift around the rooms again, so you get to meet a couple of people. And then, like I said, about 5 minutes to go, we'll come back into the main room just to wrap the session up. And we'll talk to you all then a bit later on. So I'm going to open the meeting rooms now. I've tried to make sure that there is Alan and a few of the chamber members in each of the room. So we'll talk to you soon and do lots of networking and lots of business, hopefully. So you should have got a request on your screen to join the room if you're not aware, and just click on that and that'll take you straight into the meeting room.